Okay, fungi, fungi's functions, or more specifically, mushrooms. A lot of people hate them due to the flavor, the texture, and many other characteristics. As we know, fungi's natural contribution to the world is to eat dead things and to decompose waste. However, fungi is so useful in today's day and age, and you just don't know it yet. Our overarching theme for this class's TED Talks is the power of imagination. Now, you may be confused on how mushrooms or fungi or mold may fit into this, but that is what I'm here to explain. Next slide, please. Mycelium, as you can see here, is the vegetative part of fungus consisting of a network of fine white filaments, also called hyphae. This is naturally grown mycelium, so we will see a different type of mycelium later on. But yeah, you can make styrofoam, cardboard. You can also, it helps with making bread, alcohol, and other fermented foods that you love. You can even make leather and products from such leather. You just have to use your imagination to think of ways that it can be used. Next slide, please. A quote by Thomas Carlyle says, "Nature alone is antique, and the oldest art a mushroom." Thomas depicts mushrooms as the natural art of nature. I never really understood this until I saw my mom photographing and taking many pictures of fungi. My family used to hike a lot, and I've already done a speech on that, but we used to go on these hikes in Oregon that were my favorite because it is the perfect damp and dark environment for mushrooms to grow and thrive in. Growing up and going on these hikes, as I said, my mom would stop at every single mushroom and take a picture, or more specifically, every plant. Next slide, please. These are a few pictures from my mom's Instagram of mushrooms and other plants that she has taken a picture of. She still does this now, but it's more of an annoyance than something that I find fun. I even added some photos of us on our hikes, next slide please, just because I had to go through my mom's whole Instagram, so that is what you see here with us in Oregon, Richie with his fully broken umbrella, all fun. Now, if you don't know how fungi works, they reproduce by the means of spores, and they spread through the air and flourish in damp and dark areas. Next slide, please. Today, I'm mostly going to be talking about mycelium. Mycelium can be turned into many things. This mycelium, or the mycelium that we saw before, was naturally grown. However, this mycelium here that we see is grown in factories, in bulk, like this. Growing it in the perfect conditions will allow it to grow to its fullest potential, looking like kind of like a marshmallow thing. It starts from spores and sawdust and turns into this marshmallow, mushroom, hard, tough looking kind of lump. The creator of the factory that we see this product from was living on a farm in Vermont when he was growing up. He used to have to shovel like wood chips when he was cleaning up after pigs and stuff, and mushroom spores would get into that and they would be damp and they would grow, and he would describe shoveling this as like the texture of like really hard. It was tenacious or really tough. So that inspired him to thinking of making packaging, leather, and many other things. Even shoes are being made out of styrofoam made from mycelium. People have been so creative with this material, making art, food, and even structures. This next slide will show you some mycelium leather and the products that are made from it. Mycelium leather, or vegan leather, is made from mycelium, and it is called Milo. You can see many brands using this vegan leather, and you can find it anywhere, such as Adidas. The makers of Birkin bags are going to begin to make Birkin bags out of it, which will bring a lot of other brands to it, and you can even find it in your local Nordstrom. You can also see on the slide after this a mycelium structure that was put up for the purpose of seeing it. This is a form of art, and I will talk more about the forms of art later on in my speech, but yeah, thank you. Next picture is a picture of bacon. However, as you can tell from the title, this is not regular bacon. Depending on how you season this bacon or how you prepare it, it can be a vegan or vegetarian substitute to the well-known bacon that everyone eats and we could all smell today. You can even make other types of meat substitutes just depending on how you prepare it. And I don't know, you guys said it looked extra crispy, but for others it would be a great substitute into different meats. Lastly, for mycelium packaging, next slide is, or lastly for mycelium is the mycelium packaging. Most mycelium products are highly biodegradable, however the packaging is 100% biodegradable, which would benefit our environment quite a lot, knowing that we have so much plastics, microplastics, and polyesters in our oceans today. To get away from mycelium, I'm going to be talking about the fermented things that fungi makes. As I said before, fungi ferments things, so next slide. As we can see here, one of the main things that you eat that has fermentation in it is bread. So whether it is natural yeast, like starter, which is just a little batch of dough that collects yeast from the air and then it gets nice and fluffy, or it is instant yeast. You are still eating yeast, which is a fungi, daily. You eat or drink things that are created using fungi daily, just like I said. Alcohol, next slide please, is fermented fruit and vegetables. You can also see vinegar down here at the bottom. I believe that that is rice vinegar, but I did not fact check that. Next slide please. As you may know, beer is fermented hops, wine is fermented grapes, and tequila is fermented agave. Next slide please. Ooh, never mind, but it's okay. I grew up making pickles and sauerkraut with my mom every Sunday so that we could go ahead and use it in recipes like sarmal and other things on Tuesdays. So growing up and having that and knowing how that fermentation process works really helps with knowing how to make things in the future so that you can make it yourself and expand your imagination by making all these different types of foods that you may not know how to make and you will know. If people did not think outside the box and make happy accidents leading to greater things, we would not have these foods that we have come to know. Fungi does not only inspire people to make foods and other edible products, it also inspires people art-wise. As you can see here, this is a painting and it has many different species of mushrooms that you may not know the name of. I don't know the name of, but we'll get into that in a little bit. The beauty and the variety of the organisms leave the imagination endless. Next slide. This picture here was a jank art project that I made last year, and it was an ink press of a amanita mushroom with a goat eye in the middle. Don't know where the inspiration came from that, but I knew I wanted to do something with a mushroom and then moved on from there. Next slide, please. As we can see, there's also people just drawing scary things. Next slide. Or even some really cute things with the scientific names of the mushrooms there. And just the inspiration that they get from the colors, the forms, the shapes of all these mushrooms and fungi. It is amazing to see what they can do with it. Next slide, please. There are about 5.1 million fungal species, and all of them look pretty much significantly different, whether it is microscopic, like we can see in these two photos, or it is like a big one, lion's mane, or the one on the tree that is very colorful, or like algae like that. And you can use your imagination to make anything from them. I hope that at the end of this TED Talk, you can remember at least a couple things of ways fungi and mushrooms can contribute to your daily life and how you can use them to expand your imagination.